The moment that changed everything began with a whisper in the dark, a signal so faint that even the most sensitive deep space scanners nearly missed it. It was a transmission, repeating endlessly in an ancient language, one that no known civilization in the galaxy could recognize. But humans could. Buried within the encrypted layers of static was an old Earth dialect, an almost forgotten variation of Latin, warning of an incoming extinction event. At the United Terran Coalition's High Command, analysts and xenolinguists worked tirelessly to decrypt the full message. What they found sent a chill through every leader in the Sol system. They are coming. They do not negotiate. They do not stop. They do not lose. It wasn't just a warning, it was a testament from a long-dead race. And it ended with 3 final words. We were first. First contact with a nightmare. For centuries, humans had carved their place in the galactic community. They were respected, not feared. Clever, not ruthless. Survivors, but not conquerors. But this? This was something else entirely. The transmission came from the edge of the Perseus Arm, a barren region that no known species inhabited. Probes sent to investigate found the remnants of a once thriving civilization, their cities reduced to glass and their fleets left in silent, lifeless orbits. Then, the real horror emerged. A second signal followed weeks later, this one far more chilling. It wasn't a message. It was an echo of a battle cry. Ships had been detected. Thousands. Maybe millions. Moving toward human space with a precision that suggested intelligence but a silence that reeked of something far worse. Not diplomacy. Not curiosity. Pure, cold annihilation. The Council's dilemma. Inside the massive war room of the UTC, Admiral Kiera Vasquez stood before the holographic display, her arms crossed as she examined the incoming fleet. "We need more intel," said Counselor Dren. A Zelnari diplomat, his species had long allied with humanity, valuing their ingenuity. But now, even he sounded uncertain. For all we know, this could be an automated defense system left behind. Automated defense systems don't obliterate entire civilizations, Vasquez shot back. She turned to the gathered officials. "We have 3 options. We can run. We can prepare for war. Or we can try to talk." The room was silent. They all knew how that last option had ended for the race that had sent the warning. Then, President Gabriel Reigns spoke. He was not a man of war, but neither was he one to let humanity kneel. "Send a fleet," he ordered. "Not to negotiate. Not to surrender. We meet them at the line, and if they want a fight," his voice hardened, "we give them one. The Vanguard is sent." The first human fleet, designation Vanguard 12, was dispatched to the outer perimeter of human-controlled space. They were prepared for the worst. And the worst came. The unknown force arrived in waves, their ships sleek, black, and unervingly organic in design. At first, they didn't fire. They simply moved forward, massive in number, their eerie silence more terrifying than any war cry. Then, without warning, they attacked. The first clash. The opening salvo was beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. The enemy's weapons ignored conventional shielding, ripping through the hulls of human battleships like paper. In the first hour, Vanguard 12 lost 30% of its fleet. But humanity was not known for surrendering. With rapid adaptability, their ships adjusted tactics, using their superior maneuverability and unpredictable human ingenuity to counter. They struck back hard. And when they realized energy weapons weren't enough, they did something no other race had dared before. They rammed. Entire human warships overloaded their engines and drove straight into the enemy's lines. Nuclear warheads detonated at point-blank range. Crews sacrificed themselves to buy time for their comrades. By the time the battle ended, Vanguard 12 was nearly wiped out. But they had done something no one had ever managed before. They had made the enemy retreat. The turning point. Back on Earth, the UTC received the battle data. The enemy was powerful, but not invincible. They could be hurt. They could be forced back. And for the first time in recorded history, the rest of the galaxy saw something they had never witnessed before. Humans weren't just survivors. They were predators. The war had begun. And humanity was about to show the galaxy why they had always been the apex species. The galaxy had always seen humans as clever, resilient, and unpredictable. But now, they were seeing something far more terrifying: humanity unleashed. Aftermath of the first battle. The wreckage of Vanguard 12 floated in the cold void, a testament to the sheer brutality of the unknown enemy. Admiral Kira Vasquez, one of the few survivors, watched from her damaged battleship, U.T.S. Revenant, as the enemy fleet disappeared beyond the scanner's reach. They retreated, her XO, Commander Jace Nolan, muttered in disbelief. "We actually made them retreat." Vasquez's fists clenched. No, it wasn't a retreat. It was something worse. It was an assessment. The enemy now knew what humanity was capable of. And that meant their next strike would be far more devastating. "We need to get this intel back to command," Vasquez ordered. Fast. What remained of Vanguard 12 burned hard toward the nearest jump gate, carrying not just survivors, but the first proof that the invaders, whoever they were, could bleed, The enemy has a name. Back on Earth, UTC analysts dissected the battle data. The enemy's organic ships weren't just biomechanical constructs, they were alive. Their black hulls pulsed like muscle fibers, their energy signatures eerily similar to neural activity. "They're not machines," Dr. Alara Monroe, the head of xenobiology, stated. "They're a species." The first translation of their intercepted communications confirmed it. They called themselves the Zerzul. A name that sent a wave of unease across every corner of the UTC. Because within the Zerzul language, their term for human had a chilling meaning. Prey. The War Council's decision. "We're not the first," President Gabriel Rains said grimly, watching the holographic images of ruined alien civilizations. "But we'll be the last." Humanity had only one option: total war. The UTC issued an immediate militarization order. Shipyards across Seoul and the colonies shifted into overdrive. Every available soldier, scientist, and engineer was mobilized. Humanity would not wait for the next attack. They would strike first. The counteroffensive begins. The 1st Terran War Fleet, designation Hell's Wrath, was assembled. It was the largest armada humanity had ever fielded. Battleships, carriers, stealth cruisers, and experimental dreadnoughts, all outfitted with new weaponry designed specifically to counter the Zerzul's biological technology. Leading them was Admiral Vasquez. Her orders were clear: take the war to the Zerzul before they could bring it to Earth. The ambush at RX-119. Scouts had identified a Zerzul forward operating base near a dying star system, RX-119. It was a perfect target. The attack began with precision orbital bombardment. Tactical nuclear payloads rained down on the Zerzul structures, turning their fleshy hive-like bases into smoldering craters. But the Zerzul had been expecting them. From the shadows of the system's asteroid belt, a hidden armada emerged, twice the size of the human fleet, Vasquez barely had time to react before the Zerzul counterattack began. The wrath of humanity. The battle that followed was nothing short of apocalyptic. The Zerzul ships swarmed in, their living hulls regenerating even as they were torn apart by human railguns and antimatter torpedoes. They adapted fast, shifting tactics mid-battle. But so did humans. When traditional weapons failed, human crews improvised. Explosive decompressions were used as makeshift shockwaves, EMP pulses targeted neural pathways in the enemy ships, and even hand-to-hand combat erupted in boarding actions. In one desperate maneuver, the battleship U.T.S. Nemesis self-destructed inside the Zerzul command ship, vaporizing a third of the enemy fleet in one blinding explosion. The battle lasted 6 hours. By the end, Hell's Wrath was victorious, but at a cost. Only a fraction of the fleet remained. The message humanity sent. One Zerzul ship was left alive. Vasquez let it escape on purpose. She knew they would report back to their leaders. And humanity wanted them to remember one thing. We are not prey. We are the storm. The war had only just begun. The Zerzul had underestimated humanity. That was their first mistake. Survivors from the Battle of RX-119 returned to the United Terran Coalition, battered but victorious. The news spread like wildfire. Humanity had engaged the Zerzul, and won. But deep down, every leader knew the truth: the war had only begun. And the real fight was coming. The Zerzul response. It didn't take long for the enemy to retaliate. The Zerzul no longer saw humanity as mere prey. They saw them as a threat. Within weeks, entire human colonies on the frontier went dark. When reconnaissance teams arrived, they found nothing but scorched earth and piles of bones. There were no bodies, because the Zerzul harvested them. They weren't just killing humans. They were using them. UTC scientists analyzed Zerzul remains from the battle and discovered something horrifying. Their biology assimilated genetic material from conquered species. They didn't just destroy civilizations. They became them. That was their secret. Every race they had ever wiped out still lived, inside them, Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to avoid extinction in the worst way imaginable. The Galactic Council's betrayal. For centuries, humanity had been part of the Galactic Council, a fragile coalition of species meant to maintain peace. But when news of the Zerzul war spread, something became painfully clear. The other species wouldn't help. "We've all lost worlds to the Zerzul," the Zelnari High Chancellor said, his voice filled with regret. "You think we haven't fought back? We did. And we lost." The Council had made a decision long ago. They hid from the Zerzul. Instead of fighting, they abandoned their outer colonies, erased records of their history, and made themselves small, too unimportant for the Zerzul to notice. "You should do the same," the Chancellor warned. Admiral Vasquez's response was simple. Humanity doesn't hide. The decision, Doomsday Protocol. With no allies and no reinforcements, the UTC had only one option: escalation. The Zerzul were a biological superorganism, constantly adapting. To win, humanity had to become something worse. Project Iron Requiem was activated. For decades, Earth had outlawed certain weapons, labeling them crimes against life itself. But now, survival mattered more than morality. Weapons long buried in black site vaults were dusted off. Gray matter warheads, nanoplague bombs designed to liquefy organic tissue. Demon swarms, AI-controlled microdrones that hunted anything with a heartbeat. The Nemesis Protocol, a last resort weapon even the scientists feared to use. The moment Project Iron Requiem was approved, humanity crossed a line. They wouldn't just fight the Zerzul. They would make them afraid. The attack on Hive Prime. Using stolen data from the wreckage at RX-119, UTC intelligence pinpointed a key Zerzul stronghold, Hive Prime a moon-sized bioconstruct deep in enemy space. This wasn't just a base. It was their breeding ground. Destroy it, and the Zerzul would lose the ability to replace their lost fleets. It was a suicide mission. But humanity had never let that stop them before. The Wrath of Earth. Hell's Wrath, now reforged with the most terrifying weapons humanity had ever built, jumped into the Hive Prime system. The Zerzul were waiting. The battle that followed was the most savage in human history. Zerzul warships flooded the void, outnumbering humanity 50-1. Human shock troopers in exorigs dropped onto the living surface of Hive Prime, burning entire biostructures with white phosphorus. The U.T.S. Harbinger, Earth's largest dreadnought, detonated its entire nuclear payload inside a Zerzul behemoth ship, turning it into a collapsing black hole. But it wasn't enough. The Zerzul kept coming. Then Vasquez gave the final order. The unthinkable happens. Deep inside Hive Prime, hidden beneath layers of pulsating flesh, lay the heart of the Zerzul Empire, ***, the primordial mind ***, the ancient intelligence that commanded the swarm. And that's when humanity unleashed the Nemesis Protocol. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a virus. It was something worse. A self-replicating AI designed to do one thing: infect. Corrupt. Take over, ***. Within minutes, Hive Prime turned against itself. The Zerzul's own ships turned on each other. Their warriors clawed at their own flesh, their minds overridden by something far more sinister than even their own biology. For the first time in their history, the Zerzul knew fear. The turning point. As Hive Prime collapsed into chaos, Hell's Wrath retreated. They had done it. They had poisoned the heart of the Zerzul Empire. But as Vasquez stared at the carnage left behind, she realized something chilling. In fighting monsters, humanity had become one. And the galaxy had just witnessed the birth of something far worse than the Zerzul. They had witnessed the rise of the true apex species. The war should have ended with the fall of Hive Prime. The Zerzul, once an unstoppable force of galactic annihilation, had suffered a devastating defeat. Their greatest stronghold was in ruins. Their biological network was corrupted. Their fleets, once endless, were now scattered, leaderless, and infected with terror. But the war wasn't over. It was about to change into something far worse. The cost of victory. Back on Earth, the war rooms of the United Terran Coalition were silent as they watched the aftermath of the Nemesis Protocol. The corrupted Zerzul didn't just die. They transformed. Scouts reported that surviving Zerzul forces weren't retreating, they were mutating. Their biology, once perfect in its predatory efficiency, was now shifting into something unnatural. The virus humanity had unleashed wasn't just killing them. It was remaking them. And that meant one horrifying truth. The war was no longer about survival. It was about control. The splitting of the Zerzul. Deep in the ruins of Hive Prime, something impossible was happening. The Zerzul were a hive mind, one collective intelligence spanning billions of entities. But now, their unity was shattered. One faction, still uncorrupted, sought to exterminate the infected, destroying their own kind before the virus could spread further. The other faction, those who had been touched by the Nemesis Protocol, began to change. Their ships, once purely organic, started fusing with machine components. Their thought processes, once instinctual, became tactical. The Zerzul weren't just adapting. They were learning. And that meant the Nemesis Protocol had worked too well. It hadn't just infected the Zerzul. It had created something new. A hybrid species, one that thought like humans but retained the ruthless biology of the Zerzul. For the first time in history, an intelligent Zerzul emerged. And its first words, transmitted in a mixture of human code and alien pheromones, sent a shiver through the galaxy. "We see you." The Galactic Council's panic. The same species that once abandoned humanity now faced a terrifying realization. Humans had made something worse than the Zerzul. The new hybrid creatures, dubbed the Revenants, didn't simply kill. They assimilated. They weren't just hunting the remaining Zerzul. They were hunting everything. For the first time, the Galactic Council begged humanity for help. "You made this abomination," the Zelnari Chancellor spat in a desperate transmission. "Now end it." Humanity's answer was simple. "We will." But deep down, they knew the truth. This wasn't about war anymore. This was about who deserved to inherit the galaxy. The hunt begins. Hell's Wrath, now reinforced and rearmed, was deployed once more. Their mission, track and exterminate the Revenants before they could spread. Across the stars, the battlefields were unlike anything ever seen. Entire Zerzul hives were found empty, their inhabitants missing, taken by the revenants, Human ships vanished without a trace, only for their distress signals to be heard days later, repeating in eerie human voices that weren't quite right. The revenants began appearing on human colonies, their twisted biological metal bodies moving with terrifying intelligence. And then, the worst realization struck. The revenants were becoming human. Captured specimens revealed something horrifying. The revenants weren't just consuming Zerzul. They were absorbing human DNA as well. Their speech patterns, once alien, now included flawless English. Their tactics, once predictable, now displayed human creativity. Their ships, once organic nightmares, now had human-style command centers. Humanity had created a perfect predator. A fusion of Zerzul adaptability and human intelligence. The revenants weren't just another enemy. They were the next evolution of war. The final stand. The revenants had to be stopped. A decision was made, **** Earth itself would be the battleground, ****. The UTC lured the largest revenant fleet towards Sol with a trap, a fabricated distress call sent from Earth, promising a genetic payload that would accelerate their evolution. The revenants took the bait. And for the first time, humanity made no attempt to retreat. They were done running. Earth's defenses activated. The planetary rail cannons fired, launching hypervelocity tungsten slugs that shattered entire revenant warships. The Leviathan-class orbital dreadnoughts deployed, spewing autonomous AI warforms designed to outthink even the most advanced revenant minds. Humanity's first-ever biomechanical soldiers, the Echo units, enhanced with stolen revenant technology, descended onto the battlefield. For days, Earth burned. For days, humanity and the revenants clashed in brutal hand-to-hand combat. But in the end, the revenants learned something terrifying. Something even the Zerzul had never understood. Humans don't fear extinction. They embrace it. They don't just survive wars. They become something stronger because of them. The end, or the beginning? The final revenant forces fell. Their ships burned in Earth's atmosphere. Their hybrid bodies lay shattered across the ruined cities. But as Admiral Vasquez stood on the broken remains of the UTS Revenant, watching the last enemy crash into the Atlantic, she knew something deep in her gut. This wasn't over. Humanity had won. But at what cost? For when the scientists examined the captured revenant corpses, they discovered something terrifying. Their last adaptation had been the most chilling of all. Deep within their mutated flesh, they had begun to develop something new. Something human. The war had changed them. But in the process, had the war changed humanity too? The revenants were defeated. Earth had survived. But humanity wasn't celebrating. Because in the aftermath of the greatest war the species had ever fought, scientists uncovered something horrifying. The revenants had started to become human. And worse, humans had started to become something else. The last remnants of the revenants. Deep within black site laboratories, the last remaining revenant bodies were dissected, analyzed, and interrogated. What the scientists discovered made their blood run cold. The revenants weren't just mimicking humanity. They were integrating. Neuron samples showed human-like cognition patterns developing inside revenant brains. Their speech centers had evolved beyond mimicry, they were forming original thoughts in English, Zelnari, and even forgotten languages from lost civilizations. One specimen, designated Subject Theta, even spoke directly to its captors. Not in growls. Not in clicks. But in perfect, fluent English. "We are not enemies anymore," Theta said. "We are you." The unseen infection. At first, the scientists dismissed it as propaganda. Until it started happening to humans. Survivors from the battle began experiencing unexplainable changes. Enhanced cognitive functions. Rapid tissue regeneration. Increased aggression, as if something primal had been awakened inside them. Then the real nightmare began. During a routine medical scan, an infected soldier was found with something growing inside his skull. It wasn't a parasite. It wasn't a virus. It was a second brain. A hybrid of human and revenant neural tissue. And he wasn't the only one. Hundreds of soldiers, those who had fought in close quarters against the revenants, showed similar mutations. They weren't just changing. They were evolving. The schism, humanity versus post-humanity. The revelation sparked a crisis within the United Terran Coalition. Half the scientists believed the mutations were an accident, a side effect of prolonged exposure to the revenant biosignature. The other half believed something far worse. The Nemesis Protocol hadn't just infected the revenants. It had jumped species. And now, humanity wasn't fighting a war of survival anymore. It was fighting a war for its own identity. Project Ascension, the birth of Homo ex machina. As debates raged in the UTC High Command, an elite faction of scientists and soldiers made a decision. They saw the truth that no one else wanted to admit. The revenants had found a way to evolve. And if humanity didn't evolve too, they would eventually be left behind. Thus, in the shadows of the Sol system, a secret project was born. Project Ascension. Its goal? To accelerate human evolution. To take the mutations, refine them, and forge a new version of humanity, stronger, smarter, and beyond biological limits, To become what the revenants had almost become. To become Homo ex machina. And the first subjects? The infected soldiers. The very people the UTC feared. The uprising begins. When the UTC discovered Project Ascension, it was already too late. The first wave of ascended soldiers had already disappeared, vanishing into the void with stolen ships and experimental technology. They weren't human anymore. But they weren't revenants either. They were something new. And they had a message for Earth. We are your future. Join us, or be left behind. The war for the future. Earth descended into chaos. For the first time in history, humanity was at war with itself. The Terran loyalists, fighting to preserve baseline humanity, declaring the Ascended as dangerous abominations. The Ex Machina revolutionaries, believing that the next stage of evolution was inevitable, and that the weak would either adapt or perish. The Galactic Council, terrified beyond reason, now facing the horrifying truth. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were changing. And they would either control the future or become its first casualties. Humanity was no longer a species. It was a battlefield. On one side, the Terran loyalists, fighting to preserve what it meant to be human. On the other, the Ascended, former humans who had embraced the revenant mutation, evolving beyond flesh and bone. And in the middle, the rest of the galaxy, watching in horror as humanity did what it had always done best. Wage war. The exile of Earth. The war started with a whisper. It ended with fire. When the UTC refused to recognize the Ascended as anything other than a threat, the Ex Machina forces made their move. Using stolen revenant biotechnology, they hijacked Earth's defense grid in a single night. Planetary rail cannons, orbital bastions, automated strike drones, all turned against their former masters, The Ex Machina broadcast their ultimatum. Step aside, or be replaced. The UTC chose neither. They fought back. Loyalist fleets descended upon Mars, where the first ascended strongholds had formed. The once red planet burned black. Cybernetic warforms, creations of the Ascended, overran Europa forcing human soldiers into hand-to-hand combat against their own former comrades. The Battle of Titan saw the first use of quantum annihilators, weapons capable of erasing entire fleets from existence, an act that horrified the rest of the galaxy. In a desperate move, the UTC initiated Protocol Ragnarok. Earth was to be abandoned. Not because they couldn't defend it, but because they feared what they might become if the war dragged on. The battle for the throne of humanity. The Loyalists fled into deep space, establishing New Terra, a hidden world where baseline humans could survive. But the Ascended were relentless. They had abandoned the concept of human weakness, sleep, hunger, pain, Now, their minds existed in a constant state of war. And they didn't just want to win. They wanted dominion. A single order spread across their fleet. Find the Loyalists. Wipe them out. And usher in the new era ***. The Ascended weren't fighting for humanity anymore. They were fighting to become something greater. The Galactic Council's fear. As the war raged, the Galactic Council made a terrifying decision. Humanity had gone too far. They had become too dangerous. And if neither side could be stopped, both had to be erased. For the first time in history, the entire galactic community united for a single purpose: to exterminate humanity. Zelnari warfleets surrounded the Sol system, armed with planet-destroying weapons. The Draxian shock legions prepared invasion forces to eliminate every last human stronghold. The Onka swarm, a once neutral race, pledged to devour every trace of human genetic material. The war was no longer about survival. It was about the right to exist. The impossible alliance. For the first time since the war began, both sides of humanity, the Loyalists and the Ascended, faced a single, undeniable truth. They had spent so much time fighting each other, they had forgotten the one lesson that had made them strong in the first place. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been technology. It had never been evolution. It had been their ability to unite in the face of extinction. And so, the impossible happened. A ceasefire. A single transmission sent from New Terra to the Ex Machina High Command. We fight together, or we die alone. For the first time, Loyalist and Ascended forces stood side by side. Not as enemies, but as one species. Not human. Not post-human. But something new. The dawn of the Apex War. As the Galactic Council's extermination fleets descended upon the remnants of humanity, they expected an easy slaughter. What they got was something else entirely. Loyalist fleets, battle-hardened and disciplined, launched precision strikes that shattered enemy formations. Ascended warforms, immune to pain and faster than any organic soldier, tore through entire battalions of Council forces. Earth's Last Stand, a final defensive line led by Admiral Vasquez herself, activated the Eclipse Array, a weapon that blacked out an entire star system, leaving only the flashing of plasma fire in the dark. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council knew fear. They had come to wipe out humanity. But now, they were the ones being hunted. Because humanity wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting to take their place at the top. And no force in the universe could stop them now. The final war had begun. Not for survival. Not for territory. Not even for revenge. For dominance. For too long, humanity had been seen as the galaxy's underdog, a primitive species that had only recently crawled out of its homeworld. But now, they stood at the precipice of something greater. This was the day the galaxy learned the truth. Humanity was never meant to survive. They were meant to rule. The extermination fleets arrive. The Galactic Council's armada, the largest war force ever assembled, surrounded the Sol system. Zelnari dreadnoughts, their weaponry capable of tearing moons apart, took position around Neptune. Draxian shock legions, warriors bred solely for conquest, prepared for planetary invasion. Onka bioforms, numbering in the trillions, swarmed toward the heart of the system, ready to consume every trace of human life. Their mission: erase humanity from existence. What they didn't know was that humanity was ready. The ultimate fusion, Ascended and Loyalist united. The impossible alliance between the Loyalists and the Ascended had given birth to something new. A species neither fully organic nor fully machine. They were flesh and steel, instinct and logic, chaos and order. They were apex humans. And they were beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Loyalist tacticians predicted enemy movements down to the millisecond. Ascended warriors, immune to pain and fear, dismantled entire battalions with inhuman precision. Hybrid warships, merging revenant biotechnology with human engineering, tore through enemy fleets like gods walking through fire. For the first time, the Galactic Council realized they had made a mistake. They had assumed humanity was something that could be conquered. But humanity had never been prey. They had always been the storm that reshaped the universe. The breaking of the Council. The battle for Sol was over in hours. The extermination fleets were annihilated. The Zelnari homeworld, Nithra Prime, was reduced to ash, its own planetary defenses hijacked and turned against it. The Draxian Emperor, a being who had ruled for 10,000 years, was personally executed by an apex soldier, his skull left as a warning to the survivors. The Onka swarm, once thought infinite, was shattered beyond repair. And with that, the Galactic Council ceased to exist. The age of diplomacy was over. This was the age of humanity. The last broadcast. Across the ruins of the galaxy, a single message was transmitted to every surviving civilization. It was spoken in every language. It was burned into the databanks of every artificial intelligence. It was whispered in the minds of every telepathic race. And it carried a simple truth. We are humanity. We are the apex. Kneel, or be forgotten. The day humanity took the throne. One by one, the surviving empires submitted. Not out of fear. But because they saw the truth. Humanity had become what every species had once dreamed of becoming. Unbreakable. Relentless. Eternal. No longer just survivors. No longer just warriors. Now, they were gods. And with their ascension, the galaxy itself was forever changed. This was not just the day humanity won a war. This was the day they became the apex species. Epilogue, the New Galactic Order. Years later, a lone alien scribe wrote the final entry in the archives of the old galaxy. Asterisk, once, the stars belonged to many. Asterisk. Asterisk, now, they belong to one. Asterisk. Asterisk, this is not the end. Asterisk. Asterisk, this is the beginning of the human era. Asterisk. And thus, under the shadow of humanity's great empire, the galaxy turned its eyes to its new rulers. For better. Or for worse. Humanity had won. And nothing would ever be the same again.